Some days later. Today, Jesus embarked on his new career. Math looked after him at one of the safe houses we maintain for people needing a break from the struggles of divine service. He's recovered from the spiritual and physical ravages of recent weeks. At the first village he entered on his journey home, he was immediately recognised by someone who'd seen him being dunked by John. The rumour spread rapidly, and soon half the village had gathered at their well to see the man about whom John had foretold so much. "We've heard John's teaching," their rabbi said. "What is your message for us?" Jesus was quite startled by the suddenness of this request and could not recall any one of the ideas that had filled his mind during the long years of chopping up bits of dead tree in his stepfather's workshop. The only thing he could think to say was to repeat what John had been saying on the afternoon that he was dipped. "It's time to make a new start," Jesus told them. "God is making a new start, and you need to "Give the poor lad a chance," an elderly woman called out. "He's come to our well for a drink, not to give a sermon. Sermons are for the synagogue on the Sabbath. Let him tell us then. In the meantime, will someone please give him a drink?" Math, who had been as unprepared as Jesus for an impromptu sermon, gave the woman a great hug, which she felt as a warm tingle running down her spine. The rabbi took control. "He can stay with me until Sunday. In the meantime, you all go back to your work." As the villagers dispersed, he placed an arm around Jesus and guided him towards his house. "There's been great excitement here over John's preaching," he told Jesus. "Would you like some wine? Our local brew is really rather good." Jesus now has less than 2 days to compose his first ever sermon. He spent the rest of the day on his own in the synagogue, sipping wine, studying the scrolls of the scriptures, and talking non-stop to his dad. 2 days on, the Sabbath. Jesus has often sat in synagogues thinking about what makes a good sermon. Today, he must deliver one. His mind is buzzing with nervous energy. I'm not worried, though. The Son has given innumerable stirring addresses to gatherings of angels. I'm sure he can manage a small synagogue of humans. Later. They loved him. He talked about wine, a subject close to their hearts. He reminded them what a waste it would be to put a new vintage into second-hand wineskins. The local winemakers were shocked at the very idea. God is doing something new, Jesus told them, so he needs new people to work with. The rabbi, a devoted fan of the local produce, did not seem bothered by the implication that he was an old wineskin. He was too interested in the prospect of God's new wine. Within minutes of the end of the service, Jesus was surrounded by people offering their services to my boss's new vintage. He was also invited to speak at various neighbouring synagogues as he travels north. He is a busy man already. A few weeks on, another Sabbath. After a few weeks of preaching in the villages of Jordan and Galilee, Jesus travelled home to Nazareth yesterday to visit his family and transfer some of his belongings to his new home in Capernaum. I hoped I might catch up on my writing at last. No chance. Within an hour of Jesus' arrivals, the Nazarenes tried to kill him. These humans are more stupid than I'd imagined. Having been delayed on the road yesterday afternoon, Jesus slept in a field last night and went straight to the synagogue this morning. Being already a renowned preacher, he was invited to address the congregation and began his sermon by reading from the prophet Isaiah. Not long into the sermon itself, the mood of the people changed from, "Hey, this is our Jesus, hasn't he done well?" to, "Who does he think he is, coming here and telling us what to do?" The next thing I knew, they were half pushing, half carrying their former carpenter out of the synagogue and down the road to where the hillside has fallen away and there's a sheer drop into the valley below. There they held Jesus just inches from certain death. While they argued about what to do next, there was a confusion of opinions, from the straightforward, "Kill the carpenter," to "They're all mad in Capernaum," and pleas of, "You can't kill a prophet just because you don't like them." The commotion continued until one of the men shouted, "We can't do this to Joseph's son," to which someone replied, "But is he Joseph's son?" This stimulated a chant of, "Bastard, bastard, bastard, push him, push him, push him." I could see Archangel Michael growing more and more tense, and I hoped he wouldn't do anything stupid. Above the rising chants of the women one of the women shouted, "Some people say he's the Son of God." This was the last straw. They took that to be blasphemy, and blasphemy for Jews is the ultimate crime, deserving immediate death. In the microsecond that followed, I simply prayed. Michael acted. He swooped down into the mob and blasted a path straight through the middle of them. While the people were standing, wondering why they'd all stepped aside, Math took the opportunity provided and guided Jesus to safety. The result was that the crowd stood dumbfounded as Jesus walked calmly through the middle of them and away from his home village. Jesus may be safe, but I expect that his father will consider Michael's actions to be undue interference. I've asked Michael to report to my office immediately. Later. As soon as Michael stepped through the doorway, we were both called in to see our boss. The meeting was brief. "Michael, did I instruct you to interfere with events in Nazareth, or did Oriel?" "No, Lord." "Did I give you clear instructions to do nothing unless you were given a specific order?" "Yes, Lord. I'm sorry, I was afraid for Jesus." "Michael, do you trust my son?" "Yes, of course I do." Wanting to take some pressure off Michael, I interrupted with a question. "Lord, what would have happened if Michael had not acted as he did?" My boss looked straight at me, noting my fervent wish that I'd not asked such a stupid question. Gradually his face brightened to a forgiving smile. "Oriel," he said with twinkling eyes, "we will never know."